The United Kingdom, a home to millions of immigrants, a multicultural society that welcomes thousands of people on a monthly basis. In the last decade, there has been a substantial increase of people deciding to pack up their belongings, sell their homes in the UK, to fly abroad. And in this video, we will be discussing why. As much as a lot of people are migrating to the UK, I mean, before I made this video, I opened my YouTube and the very first thing I saw was relocation vlog from Nigeria to the UK. I get tons and tons of recommendations from YouTube on that kind of content. I mean, a lot of people are migrating to the UK. Best believe that same way people are making plans to migrate to the UK, same way people are leaving the UK, and some persons as we speak now are currently making plans to leave the UK. Now, why is that so? I've spoken to a couple of persons that are already making plans, like putting plans in place to leave the UK for Canada. Today, we are going to be discussing why people are leaving the UK. And believe me, when I say people are leaving the UK, I'm not just referring to immigrants only. I mean, British folks are leaving the UK as well. Now, why is it so? Number one, in the UK, income is not protected. By that, I mean, the UK is wired in a way to keep you in the middle class. It is very rare to find people that are stinkingly rich in the UK. It is very, very rare. The UK is not a country where you can build your wealth, maintain your wealth, sustain your wealth, and grow to be one of the richest people in the world. It is very, very unlikely. And who is to be blamed? We pay a lot of bills in this country. Now, talk about the tax system. Now, taxing in the UK is quite a lot. I mean, if you earn anything less than £12,000 in a year, you're going to be tax free. But if you earn above £12,000 in a year, you might be taxed at 20%. You guys, so most minimum wage earners that work full time get to be taxed 20%. Now imagine 20% of your gross income being taxed. That is a lot. And now when you earn anything above £50,000 in a year, you're going to be taxed at 40%. You guys, imagine going home with just 60% net income, and now that is just for tax alone. We've not talked about national insurance, road tax, TV license, feeding, rent, insurance. Oh my god. And at the same time, you also need to save. You guys, it is a lot. It is very, very hard to build wealth in the UK. So when most people come to the UK and see the way things are, they get frustrated. Some go back home, or some just go back to another country. Now, another reason why people leave the UK is poor pay rate. Like, you guys, I don't even know how to put it, but trust me, the pay here in the UK is not a lot compared to the amount of money that we spend. It is literally not a lot. A lot of persons live monthly on credit card, owing their credit card thousands of pounds because their income is literally not enough to sustain them and their family. In my last video, I interviewed some Nigerians living in the UK, asking them questions if they would love to go back to Nigeria at any point in their life, and a lot of them were like, no, they'd rather live in the UK, and that's because back home isn't favorable. Most people are living in the UK because their countries back home is actually nothing compared to the UK. So if their countries should get better, best believe that immigrants will all run back home, because trust me, the salary can be really, really poor compared to the cost of living. I mean, talk about the NHS. Most people working in the NHS are usually burnt out, stressed, tired. Most of them are depressed, but then they still have to keep showing up, keep working. End of the month, they literally go back with little or nothing. So most of them, they just choose to remain in the UK for a few months, get the experience they want, and explore other countries like Australia, Canada, or even the US. Another reason why people leave the UK is healthcare. Don't get me wrong, healthcare is free in the UK. I mean, NHS is free in the UK. The only thing people get to pay is prescription charge of, I think, £9 or £11. I'm not quite sure. I've never paid that before because a girl is healthy. Anyway, you guys, yes, healthcare is free, but as they always say, a wolf they poach belly. As a result of that, it is overstretched. Like, NHS staff have to deal with large population of sick people on a daily basis. I mean, I've been to A&E twice, and the first time I went to A&E, which I've shared on this channel, I waited for nothing less than 6 hours. Like, it was not even funny. Yet I was pregnant, I was having serious stomach pain, I was scared I was losing my baby. but nobody was talking to me, nobody was attending to me, because apparently I had more severe issues than myself. Now the second time I went, I was just like about 2 or 3 weeks postpartum. I was very sick. I had to ring ambulance. They came to get me. Despite the severity of my nails, I waited for at least 2 hours before a nurse showed up. You can imagine, and private healthcare is not cheap. I've had the opportunity of bringing my mom over twice, and the first time she was sick, we needed medication, we had to resort to private healthcare, and believe me, it was expensive. Like, we were literally screaming, but I mean, because she's my mom and my mom needed the attention, we had to cover the money. But trust me, it was actually a lot. So persons are like, no way, I can't deal with the NHS. Now another reason why people leave the UK is Brexit. In fact this is like the most common reason recently. A lot of EU have left the UK. If you're in the UK currently, you agree with me now, getting people that do handiwork is a bit hard right now. Like, you literally have to be on the waiting list, and that's because a lot of EU professionals left the UK. We all know that the UK is the only sovereign country to have left the EU. So as a result of that, a lot of EU just felt like the UK is no longer a home for them, and that the UK isn't favorable anymore for them, and then they all leave the UK for their home countries or other countries. Another reason why people also leave the UK is high cost of living. When I came to the UK in 2019, it wasn't that bad. House rent wasn't even like a big deal. Like, it was fairly okay. But now in 2022, it is so expensive. If you are paying a rent of 500 pounds for a 2-bedroom apartment, trust me, now it's like 700 and something pounds. And even if you decide to buy a house, it is expensive. Now imagine you're trying to get a house of 200,000 pounds, which is even most likely, because houses of 200 pounds lately, I'm not sure you're going to get like a standard house, like standard detached house for 200 pounds. Oh my god, except you're living in like in a really remote area. Where I live, it's even hard to get a house, talk more of you're not actually talking about the amount. So it is just really like crazy these days. Cost of living is expensive. If you're paying 1,000 pounds a month for a 3-bedroom house, now it's about 1,200 pounds a month. Now feeding is so expensive. I broke down our monthly expenses in one of my videos. You may want to check it out. The link will be in my description box. Even down to goods and services, like when you go to the store to buy food or to buy anything, you have to pay VAT of each item. Though luckily in the UK it is included in the item, so you don't get to feel it. Unlike I think in the US, they have to pay for it separately. Now you know when you pay for it separately, it's so painful, but in the UK just include it. That way you get to feel like, oh, you're actually paying for the item. But trust me girl, you're actually paying for both the item and tax. We pay for TV license, we pay for insurance, we pay for road tax. It's just like a lot. So most times a lot of people at the end of the month, they are left with very little or nothing. So another reason why people leave the UK is the boring lifestyle. Like in the UK, you just live like a triangular life. If you're a student, you go to school. From school, you go to work. From work, you go back home. Like, I'm not even mentioning church, because most people don't even go to church now. Like, Sundays have automatically turned to their day of rest. Like, it's the day where they stay in bed till 12 and then they sleep and rest, and Monday they start up. Like, the cost of living, a lot of people have to work extra hours. And mind you, the more you work, the more you get taxed. So it's not like, oh, they will just tax your normal income, and then when you do extra shift, whatever you make from extra shift is your money. No way. Whatever you make from your extra shift will still be taxed at the same rate. So it is just like so crazy. A lot of people come to the UK with high expectations, and when they come here and see the way things are, they're like, oh no, I can't deal with this. Oh no, I can't cope, and they go back home. Why some don't go back home? Because they can't bear the shame of going back home to start from the scratch. So they're like, we die here. Anyhow it is, we will survive. Like, the lifestyle here is so boring, because you get to work, and from work you go home. Before you can even meet your friends and family, you have to call, you have to arrange, because every single person is busy. Like, it's just really boring. And you know, because of the high cost of living, some persons just choose to live in very remote areas, in small villages. And you know what that happens? You're living like your associates in your previous city, living your people, and you're going there to start from the scratch. Some persons have to like face racism, because I mean, when you live in very remote areas, sometimes you don't get to like see people of same color as you. Don't know, because the weather can be so confused. In a day, you can get sunshine, you can get heavy downpour of rain. you can get cold like in just one day, and you're like, why is this weather so confused? So most times when you're going out, you have to be with your jacket because you can't like tell when the weather is going to change. So a lot of people, they can't deal with the confused weather of the UK. Like UK weather can be so confused. So and also winter can be very, very depressing. Like I'm making this video in September and I'm not even kidding. I'm already thinking about the day getting dark when it's 4 p.m. I absolutely hate it. Like I hate it so much. It's 4 p.m. you look out of the window and everywhere is just dark, and then in the morning it's 7 a.m. and everywhere is still dark. You're going to work in the dark. I just really hate the winter. Like I hate it so much. So if there's any reason why I'm not ever going to leave the UK, is because of the weather, because I just absolutely hate it. I mean, some persons just prefer to go to other European countries. Some persons prefer to go to Australia that is quite warm. I mean, people leave the UK in pursuit of warmer climate. I understand that the UK is a beautiful country with beaches, with countryside that's really so beautiful and pleasant to the eyes. But due to the bad weather, we don't really get to enjoy these things outdoors. So some persons are like, what is the point? I'm out. Even sometimes in summer, it is still cold and they're like, no way, I can't do this. And the weather condition can be really extreme. It can get too cold and it can get too warm. I can remember we had the temperature of 38 degrees Celsius in this summer, I think for like 2 days or 3 days in a row, and it was so insane. I've never experienced that kind of heat wave in my entire life. I mean, coming from a country that is very hot and then facing this, I was like, oh my day. So some persons can't really deal with the confused weather and they just want to leave. Another reason why people leave is not getting their desired profession. I know a lot of top professionals that have come to the UK. They come here and they start from the scratch. Like they literally have to start doing minimum wage jobs. For minimum wage jobs, they slowly get into their career and start building their career from the scratch. I'm talking of, these are people that have reached the peak of their career in Nigeria. Talking of consultants in Nigeria, they come here, have to go down to being care assistants. That way they can raise some funds to be able to write their professional exams, and then they start off as junior doctors. Like this is someone that was a consultant in this country, if you get what I mean. And this does not only apply to doctors, even nurses. If you're a senior nurse, wherever you are, when you come to the UK, you're going to start from the barest minimum and then you can then start to climb up the ladder. And of course, you have to write professional exams. If you're a lawyer, you still have to write professional exam. If you're an accountant, like these professional exams are not cheap. Some people can really get frustrated in the long run. Like, what are you telling me? I was a top accountant. I was managing a bank in my country, and then I come here. And the time that I have to start working in sales, I have to start being a receptionist, I have to start being a customer care service advisor. Like, how do you expect me to cope with that? And then they're like, no, they can't deal with the UK. Probably just in the UK for 1 year, 2 years. They get really frustrated because it can be really frustrating when you're doing something that you're not passionate about. When you're doing something for the money, you get really, really exhausted easily. But when you're passionate about it, and even though the money is not forthcoming, you derive joy doing that. So a lot of people just get frustrated in the long run and just like, oh no, I can't do this. Now another top reason why people leave, and this is like one of the main reasons why I might leave the UK at some point in my life, is age. I mean, when people get to approach 60, 70, they start to make plans to go back home because they're like, okay, they've lived 20 years in the UK, 30 years in the UK, and they feel like, oh, they've achieved every single thing they came here to achieve, and they're like, it's actually time to spend their retirement back home. I, for one, I think that is what I'm even going to do. I think I'm most likely going to do that because I don't want to be in this country when I'm old. And that also relates to the weather. Like, you're old and you're having to deal with the cold weather of the UK. No, at that age, you just want to relax. You don't want to be depressed. You just want to be close to families back home. That way you can get to, I mean, enjoy your life till you pass away. Now another reason why people leave is passport. I know this will come as a shock, but yeah, some persons are just in the UK to get the burgundy passport or red passport, whatever they call it. British passport is one of the strongest passports in the world. It gives you access to so many countries without visas. So a lot of persons are like, oh, the moment they get their passport, so what are they doing here? They've gotten the passport, wow, and then they go somewhere else to live. I know this might come as a shock, but yes, believe me, some persons are not here to stay for a very long time. I mean, there's this family that I watch on YouTube. I can't remember their name. If I remember their name, I'm going to put it on the screen. They announced a while ago that they will be leaving the UK or the US. You can imagine. So like, it applies to the British folks as well. Now I want to round up this video by saying that I'm not in any way trying to discourage anybody from moving to the UK. If the UK is your dream country, if you feel like the UK is a place where you can fulfill your dreams, then by all means do all you can to migrate to the UK. But this is just to enlighten you of what it is like living in the UK, and also, you know, keep you aware of the harsh condition of living in the UK, so that when you eventually find yourself in the UK, the whole thing doesn't come to you as a shock, if that makes sense. So you guys, if you know of any other reasons why people are leaving the UK, share with me, of course, in the comment section. And you that is watching this video, do you have any plans on leaving the UK in old age? Let me know. Let me know, my gang people. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye guys.